So just going to go through a bit of a walkthrough of the rear drawer setup in the Gen 2 Pajero. So it's all just made out of pine and plywood. I'll just flip this over. The plywood that I used is that there, so it's 897 by 1200. The pine is 295 high, which is not quite high enough for what we needed. I actually had to put a little spacer in up in there just to get to the right height to match the back of the seats. I'll show you that a bit later on. The slides are just heavy duty 800mm slides from Bunnings. All of this come from Bunnings. The drawer slides cost me $50 a pair. The ply, 897 by 1200, was about $40 a sheet. The pine was about $25 a length, and I think it was about 1800 long. As I say, about 295 I think high. The box itself is 930 across, and it's actually the width of the sheet from front to back, so it's 897. So I didn't have to chop the depth, just the width. So I took, like 300mm or whatever it was, 270mm off the end, and that's the box. Okay, so outside measurements are 930 across, 897 front to back, and it was 335 I think. I've got a tape here, let me just yeah, so 335 340 in height. Just remember though, when you're cutting this stuff, just remember your thicknesses of your timber and so forth when you're doing it. So you might have to subtract or add the thickness of the timber here and there just to get the box built. But they're the outside measurements, okay? So and as I say, there's a little 20mm spacer just up in here. I don't know if you can see it. If I just, it's hard, sorry. There's right there's a 20mm spacer that I just ripped with a saw, and just put some dowel in, but you can just nail it in, glue it in, whatever you want. Just on the gluing, it's okay to glue these pieces to the floor, but that's about all you're going to glue. And the bit right at the back, you can glue that to as well. Don't glue the top. Don't glue these, or you can glue these side pieces actually, these little wing pieces here. Don't glue the ribs. Yeah, don't glue that. Don't glue any of this stuff. Don't glue any of this stuff, obviously not that one, but because you want to get in there. But the reason behind that is because you need to get to the fuel pump and the sender, which lives down underneath in here. There's a little hidey hole, and you need to lift all of this out, and that's actually come to fruition, and I actually had to do that. So it wasn't a big job. It just took me about an hour to get the box back out. So what happens is the lid comes off, all of these little wing pieces come off, ribs come out, battery comes out underneath the little 12-volt system over there. This here, right, this here, then it actually tips up on the diagonal. So from there to there, if you get my drift, and then it just slides out. The way it's bolted in is I use the tie down bolts that were already there. That's just a bit of aluminium angle that I've screwed into the pine and then screwed into the floor, and then that's for both sides. So that's this side that side, and then another one right at the back there. See that? Right up in there. Again, tie down point. I've just put a bolt through there, and there's one on either side underneath the drawers. So yeah, all of this stuff that I made here, I won't give you the measurements on that because it's pretty simple. It's just all the off-cut pine that I had left over, and I just got some cardboard and made a template and made sure it fit in there, and then I just, you know, cut it out with a jigsaw and whatever else I had. Same with both sides. All I've done was, because this finishes flush here, obviously. Sorry, I just got the hiccups. I've just put that 20mm pine, just square pine, through there. So that way this stuff sits on there like that. And I've put a piece along here as well, the 20mm pine along the side of the rib. You can see I've screwed it in again because there's two pieces, so that obviously sits in there like that, and then the other piece sits over the back, just something for them to rest on. And obviously the back ones, I actually screw these ones down because they've got the speaker in there, so that sits in there like that, and I screw them down. I just put one screw, just one here and one over the side. And this one here is obviously the removable one. Okay, because a nice little void in there, I don't have anything in there, so I put all tent pegs and bits and pieces and stuff in there. Yep. So, and I've just carpeted it with the stuff from Bunnings. It's like $35 a metre. That's a square metre. Pretty sure I only bought 1 square metre of it, to be honest. Could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I did. It covered everything. Obviously I've not done inside. I didn't see the point in that. No paint or anything. It's up to you whether you want to go that extra, that extra step. Same with the drawers. I didn't paint inside them. I just left them, I just left them raw. You could paint them if you want. The only thing with this is, you'll notice I have a bit of string here. Okay, see where that connects to up there? That's that little lever thing there that you pull to lift it. See how the seat's sitting up? So this actually runs through underneath there like that. I didn't want to lose that functionality. So, and then there's a hole down in there, so I can still pull the seat. So I can still pull the seat up to lift it up. So I'll move that. Yeah, so that pulls through there. Sorry, I'm just adjusting it, so it's pulling the wiring. And so yeah, so it's a bit hard to do with one hand, but that obviously you pull that, and that obviously clicks down and sits flush. And I can just reach back in there, grab that. Yep. So yeah, just having that there now, being able to, and then I can obviously just, it goes through the drawer, and I can just pull that, and it pulls the lever, which then allows me to lift that seat back up the way you just saw it was. So, because I didn't want to lose that part of it, because I like to lift those up. So yeah, the only other thing I've got on here is I've just got this aluminium, and I've taken this off in a minute, but that just sits on across the back there. That was from Bunnings as well, a little bit expensive, it's up to you whether you use some of this stuff. And some tie down points I've got there, I use that for the fridge. I do have a drop down fridge slide that I sort of made, but I'll do that in another video. So yeah, so just make sure these slides are measured, they're really precise. If they're not, you'll have all sorts of issues getting the drawers in and out. So, and especially the gap between here and here. See, now this one here has a bit of a wobble to it, see that? So I haven't quite, it's not locking in over in that corner. I must be out by just a matter of millimeters, but look, it's not a big deal for me, but you know, if you're a bit of a perfectionist, that might be a bit of an issue. So the little 12 volt box I made, again, is just out of the ply. And it's just a battery box that I gutted. And that simply just, that screws down here and here, over there. And that simply, I've got it unscrewed at the moment, but that just pulls out like so. If I can just drag it out, and you'll see that I've got my wiring sitting in there, and I've got I have a lithium battery, so I've got the lithium battery sitting there in there with a Bluetooth module, and it connects into the back of the MPPT. I prefer to, even though this is a DC with solar, I prefer to use the kick-ass one because it has Bluetooth on it and I can see what's happening. This one here is just basically the battery charge. So yeah, and that's that, and that all just sits down in it. Battery's about, it's about 300 by, so I've made a little clamp there, just to apply, that screws in that way, and then underneath there's a little stand. It's about yay high, 70mm, to sit it up, because the back there, the guard curves down like that. The battery actually won't fit to the floor. It needs to sit up a bit to give you that distance, because it's a little bit snug. So, but a normal size battery, about 300 by about, I don't know how wide it is, but I've had two batteries in there and they both seem to fit all right. I've never had to really worry about it, but that just sits back in there. Yeah, I won't jam it in. I've got to adjust the wiring a bit first, but so, and then this drawer here, I've just, rather than make a table on the back door, I just got a bit of aluminium checker plate from Bunnings. Again, it was dear, buy it somewhere else, it's probably cheaper. And then I've just got some aluminium angle and Sikaflexed it to either side, and that sits just on top of here, and it's fairly snug so it doesn't bounce around a bit. So these latches, I'm just going to pull some stuff out of here. So these latches in here, you'll see that I've got a box that I've made up. It's important to have a box there to cover up the latch mechanism. You get anything caught in there, when the drawer's closed, you'll never open it, and then you bug it, you're not getting your door open. So, and these latches I've just got from a company here in the southeastern suburbs called TC Boxes. They're about $18 each. They come with keys. You know, and how they work is I'll show you here. It's just, see that little, so you just notch a hole in here, and the way that works is I've got a block that I've screwed to the floor, and I've put ample screws in there because I find that just they kept moving. So to try and get that down, don't glue it down because they loosen up. Sometimes you have to take them out, and it's probably a better way to do that. You could bolt it down, or you could get an aluminium block or whatever. But look, you know, the disclaimer here is that I'm just a guy who's handy on the tools, who's having a crack. You know, it's not perfect. I've got screws, you know, that popped out the side of spots, and I've had 15 goes of this and so forth. So you know, it was a lot of trial and error, and I spent a bit of money getting it right, but I got it right in the end, and it's the way I like it. You know, and I'm pretty happy with it. The drawers itself, again, I really don't have much in the way of measurements, although I can quickly take a measurement. So yeah, so you're looking at that there, you're looking at 270 there. That's the height of the drawers, and the length of them are 850, and then you've got your your width of your, that's what I'm saying about keeping in mind the width of your the wood that you're working with. And then I've just put a divider in there. Now you don't really need to put a divider in there if you don't want to, because the that and that side there keeps it nice and straight with using these slides. But I just like to keep things separate. I have little compartments for everything. I'm a bit anal like that. Yeah, and then I just added some speakers in there that just grafted off the old speakers that are rat shit and bounced around and vibrated like buggery. Just cut holes out, just cheap speakers. Sounds pretty good. Yeah, you can use all of this if you really wanted to. You didn't have speakers, it's another bit of a cavity in there. You could just simply have that sitting like that, or if you wanted, you don't have to have it screwed down. I choose to because I don't really use them, especially that side. There's no room over there. I've got all electrical stuff running through there. Yeah, so I've got the table, the little table thing that I've made, or tray or whatever. Yeah, make sure these things are all nice, and you can see some measurements there. That's the distances I've got from the top and the bottom of the, so I've come up 115 to here and ran that through. And the other thing is, so when you're running one piece in the middle here, and on one side you've got this one, and on the other side you're going to have another one, right? So if they're exactly the same and you're screwing to the same spot, what's going to happen is you're going to be trying to screw into other screws on the other side. So you have to move them a little bit. Okay, that's maybe why I've had trouble with this one, because I've moved it a bit, so I'm not hitting other screws coming in from the other side. Or you just have these at a different height. There's no reason you can't have that at a different height, so as long as the inside's exactly the same, it doesn't make any difference, it'll work the same. But yeah, I think that's about it for now. As I say, these things here, I mean, that there is 235, and then you got the weight, you add the width of the carpet in there. Yeah, that's just 20mm spacer pine that I've used. I just bought a length of that. And as you can see, the box is the same height as the back of the seat when it's folded down, so you could run a mattress in here. Obviously with your head up this end, because there's a nice gap up there, but the back of the seat, you can push the seats all the way back to close that gap up, so you don't lose your pillows if you want to have your head up that end. But I usually sleep down this end down here, and I just have one of these windows open. But I do have a fridge that goes in there now, so I generally don't sleep in here as a rule. But you could take the fridge out and you can just sleep in here. Put it over the back there, and between the fold down and the front seat there somewhere. I don't know. Yeah, I really can't think of much else. As I say, the measurements for this sort of stuff here, it's just flying by the seat of your pants. It's just templates, the same as these curves. So that curve there, again, it's just a cardboard template I've cut out and put in here, transferred it to the ply and cut it out, and then I've just carpeted it. Same as all this gadgetry over here. So this bottom piece and this top piece there, it's just a template that I put in there with cardboard, transferred it to the ply and then cut it out. Make sure you let this stuff tack off. I didn't, and I've had to staple it, but you can't really see it. But I could have done a better job on some things, but as I said, I'm just a guy having a crack, so don't bag me if something doesn't look quite flash. I mean, I noticed that there, that's what I'm talking about. See, that's craftsmanship right there. So yeah, it's just make it the way you want it. It's like that's the basics of it. Just remember though, just don't go blocking yourself in with glue and stuff. It's like, I know it's good to glue stuff, but you can glue the bottom stuff like I did, but sooner or later, if you've got a Gen 2 Pajero, if you haven't already, you'll be taking the fuel pump out to replace it, or someone will, or the sender, because that's what happens. Yeah, but look, it's so into this here. So I've had springs. I've had a 2-inch lift, by the way, it's and the coils are for, to suit 150 kilo constant weight, because there is a bit of weight in these drawers. That's what's come out of them. All of that stuff there. So that's come out of the drawer. That's come out of that drawer. So I carry everything around, and I've got obviously my fridge, and there's a, as I say, there's a fridge slide over there that I'll do another video on. So if you're going to load these full up, you know, do something about your suspension. Otherwise, you'll be sitting on the arse, on your ass all the time. And I did that for a while, and when I loaded it up and bouncy, until you've got no more bounce, and then you end up sitting on your bump stops, especially if you've got passengers. So yeah, that's the table. That sits there, and I actually have my gas cooker and everything on there. Could have made it a bit longer, I suppose, but again, that's the size the sheet come in. So I didn't want to spend extra money on a bigger sheet that was. So that's my table, as I say, and then, you know, that just goes in nice and tight around the edges here, as tight as you can get, and it just turns around and pulls into the back of that. Just put a curve in there so it pulls around, lifts up. As I say, you can lock it if you want, but yeah, and just you know, this goes back on the cavity, pops in there, and as I say, you've got this bit of I've taken this off so I could show you, but you know, that sits in there like that, and yeah, that sits in there properly. It's just, I just got probably some wiring just jammed it up underneath there. I'll fix that up. I don't want to. She's a bit dirty. She's got some chips of wood on there at the moment, so because I've been mucking around with the fridge slide that I'm still finishing off. Yeah, so that string there, as I say, just goes through the hole. That pulls and pops that. You can hear that lever popping, going in front. So I had that seat out, and it usually pops up and clips up, but it's not. So, but I've had that seat out because I redid the carpet in it, and maybe there's a little spring in there or something that I haven't put back properly. It does come up. You know, you just maybe it's a two-man job for the minute until I fix that spring up. But yeah, so that's the drawer, and that's the down the side of it. Yeah, inside I've just got spaces wherever you want in there, little dividers. As I say, I haven't worried about the inside. I use nice big screws in here, and then I've just trimmed them off with the grinder inside. I didn't want little screws, and I didn't want to muck around with bolts, to be honest, nuts and bolts. This is all glued together, and you see I've screwed it together with lots of screws. So she's nice and sturdy again. Like, I just have a circular saw. I don't have a bench, you know, bench saw or anything like that. So I've just ripped it by eye. Well, I've measured it, but then ripped it by eye. So the cuts aren't really that straight. And if you've got a bench saw or something like that, then even better, you know. But you don't see them, so it doesn't matter. Yeah. So look, so I've probably rattled on for long enough now. If this has been helpful, just give me a thumbs up, and if you need to know anything, put something in the comments. I'm more than happy to, you know, sort of provide a bit more detail on anything specific that I haven't covered off for you. You know, I just used a quick rip for all of this. As I said, let it tack off. All up, look, this has probably cost me up to close to $500, but I probably could have paid a bit less. I made a lot of mistakes, you know, probably an extra piece of ply here and there because I've cut this wrong, cut that wrong. The old thing I was saying about measure twice, cut once. Well, I'm going to measure about 5 times and then cut once. I still get it wrong. But anyway, as I say, just a guy having a crack. So there's probably things you could do better than what I've done, but this is just a concept, like it's an idea. All right, take your own measurements, do whatever. The box just fits inside between the two wheel wells. It sits on the floor. I've taken the carpet out. It's not noisy because the box, you know, absorbs a lot of the noise. The seat folds down and then folds back again like you've seen, so that folds up, so it's back to being a 5-seater. Yeah, so look, if there's anything else I might make an addition to it, but I mean, I've gone on for 25 minutes now, so again, these things in here, just look, I'm just adding things that I think. There's a curve in the back of that as well, so again, it's just a cardboard template, and just, you know, so, and you're making cardboard templates for everything. Like this side here is not the same as that side there, okay, so they're all different, okay, and that piece there is not the same width as that piece over there. Alright, so you've got to make 4 templates, and again, this side here is not the same as that side there, so you're going to make another template to get that curve. So it actually just sits in behind there, right? So it's not far in behind there, but it's got that curve to it. Alright, and as I say, it's a matter of 2, 4, 6 bolts, top off, wings off, they can stay, and then you just pick it up on its side, so I go like that, and it just slides out, if you get my drift. And then you can get your little hidey hole for your fuel tank. So, and I hope you never have to do that like I did. I was on my way to the high country, leaving the house, just backing out of the driveway, wouldn't start. As soon as it wouldn't start, this is the second Pajero I've had, it wouldn't start. I knew exactly what it was, so I didn't go to the high country on my little trip. But anyway, look, that's all for now. As I say, if it's been helpful, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel. I'm not like a YouTuber in that sense, but I have done a lot of mods to the Gen 2. I've done, and I'm going to put them all up online, so check back regularly. You might find I've put a winch in this. I've done all sorts of mods. I've you know, snorkel, all bits and pieces that I plan to sort of just put up on YouTube as a bit of a guide, you know. Okay, thanks for watching.